across the street and said, call Robin Harrison. So Robin Harrison, who is the executive producer of this event, or a lot of different events that are going on this weekend here, as well as the executive director of the Hollywood Bureau. So he called her. And then she immediately called William Sims, who is the moderator, who is this man right here, who I barely knew, but she called him, and so he's moderating this event. It's why it's interesting that it's full circle. Turns out he's also good friends and went to school with my goddaughter that I didn't even know. I only have one goddaughter, full circle. Robin and I, several days later, as press was wanting to do this interviews, because I got arrested on the Friday of Emmy Awards weekend, and it was also the Friday before the Tuesday of Mike Brown's funeral in Ferguson. So it got a lot of media attention. I did a Facebook post that went viral, and a lot of media requests came in. I was on CNN, on Al Jazeera America, on MSNBC, a lot of different networks. Robin and I immediately called this lady right here, Flo McAfee, who is the event producer for this event, right? So full circle. Now, as these interview requests started coming in, I called a man who was like a little brother to me back in the day, who you guys just saw a few minutes ago, Andrew McCaskill, who happens to be here today. Now, don't think we travel in packs, because most of these people don't even know each other. It's just that when I got arrested, several people said to me that, Charles, we're sorry that this happened to you, but we think it happened to the right person. And I say that to say, at the time, I was not believing that. I was not hearing that. But God has a purpose for what he's doing with me and what he does with us. So if you think that these people who are associated with this event today just happen to come here by circumstance, I don't think so. I think it was all in this grand master plan that sent me on this mission. Amen. Amen. I can always get an amen when I say that. Absolutely. So I don't know if what I wanted to do is show you the picture from the PowerPoint slide of, and some of you might have saw it back in August of 2004. It is me handcuffed on the curb. It went viral as a nationwide photo because of all the stuff that was happening. When I got off that curb and got out that jail cell, I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew I had to do something. Because when life throws you lemons, at least you still have your life. There's a lot of folks that felt in the same situation, that was stopped, that was wrongfully arrested, that didn't make it past that day, that moment, right? They're not here to tell their story up on the stage, right? So they got thrown the lemon and they didn't have their life. When I got thrown the lemon, I still had my life, and I felt that at that moment, it completely changed me. It made me decide that I had to do something with my life. So the term is, I became an activist. I like to say I became an active citizen. And I think that's something that all of us can do. We don't have to be activists, but we truly can become active citizens. So what did I do? I actually started up a nonprofit called Fitting the Description. And fitting the description, if you get to the next slide, so that we're on the same page, when I look at you and do that, that's the next slide. Yes, is that what's coming up? That's not what's coming up. So when we, what I did was started a nonprofit called Fitting the Description, which was dedicated to focusing on creating awareness about folks that are wrongfully arrested, because there are so many people that get wrongfully arrested every single day. They walk out of the police station and they think that everything is all good. I thought that everything was all good when I walked out. That's not the case. You still have an arrest record. And if you don't take care of that arrest record, even if you never go to court, even if you are told that you were released, if you don't take care of that arrest record, it's going to affect you getting a job. It's going to affect you getting a loan. It's going to affect you a lot for the rest of your life. And you have to do that. In California, where I got wrongfully arrested, you have to spend probably about 6 months of your time and about $5,000 of your own money. Now I'm walking down the street minding my own business. They make a mistake. I get it. Law enforcement were doing their job, but crime had happened. So they had to do what they needed to do to prove that I wasn't that person. I get that. I'm okay with that, actually. What I'm not okay with is that because of your mistake, I then have to take 6 months of my time and $5,000 of my money to get my arrest record straight. I'm an innocent man. I'm, a citizen, a good citizen at that. I shouldn't have to do all that. So fitting the description, I started to create that awareness so people know that this is happening, that if you got wrongfully arrested and never went to court or anything, you still have an arrest record. I also started this national campaign called #AutoRace, which says that if you're wrongfully arrested for mistaken identity, then your arrest record will be automatically erased by the local law enforcement agency that wrongfully arrested you. Part of that effort involved getting legislation introduced in 18 states in our country. Of those 18 states, 6 of them have actually signed it into law. And so the moment for me was when, y'all see how I did that? See how? All right. The moment for me was when I saw Andrew try to work this thing. You're not gonna get me with that. The moment for me was when I went from handcuffed, sitting on that curb, and some of you may have been arrested, and some of you may have stayed in jail for a lot longer time, and some of you may look at me and say, dude, you was in jail for 6 hours. Well, for me, that was a terrifying experience, because I've never been anywhere where I couldn't get out of it really quickly. And so I got out of jail, and a year later, my birth state of North Carolina, under a Republican governor, under a Republican House and Senate, was the first state in the country to sign my bill into law. So that was a big moment for me, and I was really excited about that. And all that took is me not being an elected official, not having any idea what I was doing, because I had never done anything like that before, but making phone calls and saying, we got a problem in this country. I shouldn't have to go and take care of my arrest record. And I spoke to some concerned elected officials. They took my words, put it into a bill, and forced it through the legislation and got it into law. And this has now been repeated 6 times. And I am just like every one of you. I am not anybody who knew anything about politics or getting laws put in place. And I've got 6 of them done. So if I can do it, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it, all y'all can do it. And for me, that's what being an active citizen is all about. Because as John F. Kennedy once said, one person can make a difference, and every person should try to make a difference. And that is what keeps me going every single day with regards to making sure that folks know if you were wrongfully arrested, if you go to jail, even for 10 minutes, and they take your fingerprints and they take mugshots of you, you have an arrest record. And that arrest record is not going to go away by itself unless you do something about it, or unless you're in what I like to refer to a Charles Belk state, where the #AutoRace bill is in effect, right? But until that happens in all 50 states, make sure you do something about it, and make sure if you have an issue that is affecting you, do something about that. And if you don't have any issues, come and help me with mine. All right? I can use the help. And on that note, I want to make sure I leave you with my contact information. That is how you get in touch with me on all social media, as well as my nonprofit organization, Fitting the Description. I didn't ask for any money yet. Or how you can get involved in the #AutoRace effort. If you live in a state other than North Carolina, Colorado, Rhode Island, Kansas, Missouri, if you live, or Illinois, if you live in a state other than those 6 states, then I need for you to please, please, please contact your elected official and say, I heard this #AutoRace thing. I don't know what it is, but I need for you to do something about it. All right? That's all it takes. And at that point, you are an active citizen. And so now, the other part of this particular conversation was back again. And the reason why that was put in is because once I got wrongfully arrested, once God sent me on this mission to kind of get this legislation in place, I completely wound down out of everything that I was doing out in Los Angeles and been on the road ever since pushing this legislation through. Through that process, I've met all sorts of folks. One in particular is a young man by the name of Joel Jones. He is the youngest African American elected state representative in the country, right? He's 22 years old and he is out of Michigan. So I've now been pitching a show based on his experiences and a little bit based on my experiences in the whole criminal justice process. He, by the way, is sponsoring my legislation in Michigan. So I am now back in the Hollywood game trying to pitch a show to get it produced and on television, as well as doing a documentary about the experience in the future. So, you know, you never know what you could be doing. When I was walking to my car to put money in that parking meter, I was ready to go party that weekend for the Emmy Awards. You never know what the plan is. Today you could be walking somewhere and tomorrow you can be an active citizen. And that's what I hope and pray that each one of you do. And right after that, feel free to donate to fit in the description. All right? Thanks a lot, you guys. I really appreciate you today.